Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Haley and you're watching Between the Pages. It is that time of the year again. It is time for Magical Readathon. So of course, I had to build my TBR. I am so excited. Magical Readathon and Spookopholy are my two favorite readathons to do. Spookopholy is next month, so we'll discuss that later. Or October. That'll be in October, sorry. It's still August. But yeah, so I love Magical Readathon. This is my third year, I think my third year doing it, and I am going for, I think, necromancy. I'd have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's necromancy for my character. So I am just gonna let you know that I subbed a lot of these prompts because a lot of the prompts I could not fulfill with what is physically on my TBR, because when it comes to readathons, I only work with what I physically have. I don't do ebooks or anything like that, so I had to work off what I had on my shelves. And so I did sub a lot of the prompts. I don't do the whole like guild points using it to buy scrolls to swap out prompts and stuff. I just kind of do what I want. Because G said you can basically do it if you want. It's not that serious. So I did swap out a lot of prompts. So gonna be a little confusing for a little bit. But yeah, let's just get into this. That was an incredibly long intro. So the first one is I have to get an O in Animal Studies, which is antlers or horns on the cover. So you know what I had to pick. I had to pick City of Souls and Sinners. This is the second in the House of Devils series. I absolutely adored City of Gods and Monsters. I need to film that review after I'm done doing this, but I adored the first one. And apparently the second one is supposed to also cause maximum emotional damage. Because we'll talk. You and I will talk about the first one. But yeah, it has horns on the cover. I was so excited when she said that because I was like, ooh, I know what's got antlers on the cover. I can read this. And it's a thick boy, but I absolutely adore the first one. So I have a feeling I'll like this one. And then I need a Q in spells and incantations. So that means I have to fulfill 2 prompts. The first one being last month, like what you put on your TBR last month. I shift my TBR a lot. So I went into my Goodreads and saw like what I had added to my TBR last month that I physically have right now. And so that is Wings of Reverie by Anna Bright. Allison Saft wrote the first one. So this is another in the Disney's like Pixies or Disney's Fairies. The first one being Wings of Starlight by Allison Saft. Anna Bright is the same author as The Beholder, which I have read before, so I know that I like her writing. But look, he looks like Reese. Like it's giving Reese, except with, you know, like pixie wings or whatever. But I am so excited to read this because I loved the first one and I loved The Beholder. And I've heard this is like kind of sort of Grumpy Sunshine, but like she's also kind of grumpy too. So I'm interested to see how that dynamic is, because the first one, oh Lord, the first one hurt in a good way. So I'm hoping I get the same thing with this one. And then the second prompt is I had to close my eyes and count 7 books. I didn't do the close my eyes part. So I picked a section on my bookcase where I knew there was a lot of books that I wanted to read. So my 7th book was Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. This is, I think, the second. Yeah, because it says best-selling author of Done and Dusted, which I've not read yet. You're probably supposed to read them in order, but they're standalone, interconnected romances. So I'm excited about this one. You know I like me a cowboy romance. And this, I think it's an enemies to lovers. So interesting. We'll see how that goes. But you know I like a cowboy romance, so I'm kind of glad I picked this one. And here is where we get into a little bit of confusing territory. So I need a D for conjuration, which means I have to read 3 books. The first one is Fog. So I picked Sunlight by Devney Perry. I don't know much about this. I know it's a taboo romance. It's kind of like Taming the Heart. It's like boss employee. Romance, I don't know if this one is married like Bo is in Taming the Heart. I have no idea. I just know that it's a taboo romance, and there's fog on the mountains, so gonna read this one. And then here's where I started swapping things out. So I needed to have one with the triangle on the cover, and then I had to read something where it was a thriller. So I don't read thrillers, and I didn't have anything with a triangle or a pyramid on the cover. I didn't, but also I did not look very hard, because I know books that I want to read, and I'm like, I could probably look through all of my books and find a triangle on the cover, but I didn't want to, so I swapped that prompt out for something easier. So the first one I swapped out was part of a trilogy, and this one I think is on my not quite 26 books to read in 2026, and that is Blessed Monsters by Emily A. Duncan. That means we are finally going to finish the Something Wicked and Holy series. I am really curious to see how this series ends, especially with where we left off in the second one. So I'm happy that I'm going to get this read finally and not have to wait 4 or 5 years to read the last one. So we're going to be finishing this trilogy this year. And then the other one is Cover You Don't Like. So I picked another book in a series, and that is Eternal Ruin by Tigist Gurma. I don't like this cover. I really don't. I know that the mask has something to do with like what was discussed in the first book, but I don't like this cover. I don't even know what it looks like. Oh, that's better. The hardcover, at least, is pretty, but I do not like this cover. I know the mask is significant to like where we're going with the story. I do realize that. This is ugly. It's ugly. And like G was like, well, we're kind of judging books by their cover, because I loved the first one, so I know I'm gonna love this one. But I hate this cover. It's so ugly. We could have done better, honestly. And then for Restoration, I needed an O, and that was you had to find a heart on the cover. I did have a graphic novel that could fit for this, but I think it'll actually end up being in one of my comic catch-up videos that I'm trying to work on right now also, while also trying to finish my August TBR or work on my August TBR. So I swapped that out because I knew I could fulfill this one, and that is a skull on the cover. So of course I picked Kingdom of the Feared. I think I picked every single one of these for either Magical Readathon or Spookopoly. So we are finally gonna finish Kingdom of the Feared so I can go ahead and get the Throne of the Fallen series. I really am interested in those books, but I really want to finish this one first. So we're gonna finish this trilogy also. I'm gonna be finishing a lot of series this year. And then the last one, I had to get an O in Demonology, and I needed a shadow in the cover, or like in the title. So I did flip a digital coin. So if you got heads, it had to be a standalone. If you got tails, it was part of a series. So I picked Fallen and Kiss of Dusk, which I think I used Ashes and the Star-Cursed King and Songbird and Heart of Stone to fulfill prompts for either Magical Readathon or Spookopoly. Because I know Spookopoly, I read Slaying the Vampire Conqueror and Six Scorched Roses. So this goes along with this time of year when I usually end up reading these books. So of course I have to pick this because I'm not going to get this done before August. So this is not going to end up in my August wrap up. But yeah, I have to read this. They did release that in September. They are doing a matching cover of Lion and the Death is Dark. It is gorgeous. Like, just from the mock-up, it's gorgeous. I am so stoked for that book. Not gonna come out or be shipped until like January of next year. So we have some time to catch up. So I'm finally gonna get this read. I'm gonna make this a priority. So yeah, those are all my books for Magical Readathon. When it comes to Magical Readathon, I almost never finish all 8 books before the end of September or August or whatever month it happens to fall in. So I kind of start carrying them over into other months, because like I want to finish my TBR, and there is a chance that maybe I'll DNF these. I don't know. I've gotten to the point where I'm not DNFing a lot of books because I have a lot of books on my shelf that I'm excited to read, which is good. So I'm not DNFing as much, because I don't think I'm going to DNF any of these, because I'm really excited to read these books. I tried to pick, that's why I swapped out a lot of prompts, because I'm like, I have books I want to read that I know I can fulfill a prompt. So yeah, that's my Magical Readathon TBR, and I will see you guys later. Bye!